So I had a fun little exercise yesterday where I completely broke my Windows install in the most inopportune of ways.
Yeah. Well, never happens at a good time.
So I've been like working on this app that I've been building, and it messes with the host file, so you can enable ad blocking.
Hmm.
So on GitHub, you can find lists of ad servers, and so one of the features of the tool is you can punch in a URL with a .text file, and then
Hmm.
it will load that
Yeah,
into
with
your
the
host
list of
file automatically, and
sites to
it'll
block and whatnot.
yeah, great stuff.
Hmm.
Well, I wasn't really paying too much attention. I was like, all right, let's try this feature out. Did that. The entries, the number of host file entries per this particular repo
Uh,
was 188,000 entries.
yep.
And the person curating this list must also have a shack in Montana because it blocks everything. I mean, it's like a
Yeah.
nuclear
Yeah.
block on everything. So that started the issue because that blocked all Microsoft services. It blocked almost
Boy.
every browser.
Hmm.
But here was the problem. So the logical thing to do here is like, hey, just edit the host file, delete all of those entries.
Yep.
Well, the problem was, I don't know what was causing this, if it was a Windows bug or what. I couldn't edit the host file again. It kept saying, usually you have your host file, you
Uh,
drag it to the desktop, you edit
hmm.
it, and then you drag
Copy
it
it back.
back. And it kept
Yeah.
saying this file is in use. And I could not get it I could not get it replaced. So I did, I unplugged the Ethernet, I turned the computer
Yeah.
off and on, and I could not do this. So this was
What?
like 2 hours of time. And I'm like,
I'm
there's,
trying to figure out well, it's too late now. You got rid of it, right? But
yeah.
like what?
So I figured out what was blocking it. It was SV like
No.
ch host.
Yeah, that didn't tell you anything because that's just a container for other processes.
Right.
So
But you can
that,
kill that. So you can,
but
what,
you can find the one that holds it and kill it, I
but
guess,
the
and that
problem is
would.
that it restarts instantly.
Oh.
And it was locking the file. So what I ended up doing was I created a host file that I knew was good,
Yeah.
and this file, and I created a little batch script that just keeps trying to. All the batch script did was just try to replace that file or rename the file to rename it to host.old. That's all it did, and it just started nailing this thing like several times a second, so just running in an infinite loop. So then
That's
I
right.
just started killing the processes in Process Explorer, and
Hmm.
eventually I hit the right one, and it did it fast enough at the right cadence that it swapped the file and fixed all my problems.
That's incredible. Do you use I don't know, like a VPN type of thing or like any kind of, I don't know, antivirus, something, something, or
No, so
what's
we
the
have
thing you write? What's the thing you're writing? What's the app you're making?
it's like an the best way I can describe it is I was wondering what an app was doing on my box, like who it was phoning home and connecting to. So
Yep.
I went down a very deep rabbit hole of building an interface that like puts all this on a visual display.
Yeah.
Doesn't have like a name, just keep working
Yeah.
on it.
Sure.
So I was doing. I do not. I mean, I have Defender, right? I have Microsoft whatever Defender running. I think that's what we use at work. It's Defender.
Okay.
Defender 365 endpoint, whatever. That long superfluous name is, that's what's running on the box. That was not, because it's not a virus. It's literally just editing the host file. So,
So what if it's right? I found someone who had exactly the same problem you had,
oh, really?
and exactly the same. In their case, it was just 50,000 files or 50,000 entries. But
Yeah.
the Process Explorer tool that Mark Rozinovich made,
Yeah.
a couple of people recommend this. Actually, it's funny. One of the people recommend. I think you were just describing this. Basically, it's like a batch file that takes 15 minutes to execute, but what it does is it renames the host file, and if it fails, it waits for 1 second and renames the host file.
Yep. That's
you
that's
know,
exactly what I was doing.
yeah. So that seems to be an answer. Like that. Well, obviously it was. You did it. That's funny.
Yeah.
Huh. That's an interesting problem. Also, completely screwed up. We have a text file that controls this.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, better than registry, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. I've never run into this. I'm always fascinated when there's new stuff that Windows can kill me with, that
Mm-hmm.
I'm not aware of, despite my whatever years of experience.
Oh, here is the other odd part of this whole thing. and this I cannot explain.
Mhm.
The computer would not reboot.
Oh, so you know what? Actually,
You would
I'm
go,
gonna
you
try.
would click start and reset. When I say I turned it off and on, like I literally had to hold the power button. It goes poof, and then you bring it back up. The computer would hang when it was trying to
Yeah.
restart. The thing would just spin and say restarting, and it sat there for 20 minutes. And I was like, this is not.
All right, so try this, man. This is a weird hidden feature in Windows. If you do Control Alt Delete,
Mm-hmm.
you get that menu
Yeah.
with the choices. But down in the corner, there's a couple little icons. One of them's a power button.
Mm-hmm.
If you hold down the Control key and click the power button, it
Mm-hmm.
will launch a emergency reboot, and that apparently always works. I
I needed this
just
12
looked
hours
at it
or
and have
24 hours
not.
ago. Yeah.
I know. This is
Hmm.
like this actually is not in my book either. I gotta write about the problem is like I've never actually needed it, so I've tried it and it works, but what does that mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like your situation, that would have been a really interesting test of that.
Yes, it would have.
Because the other thing you could do is just, I don't know, go into the Windows recovery environment and then run the command line and just do like a DOS-based copy of that file, like that kind of thing. Like that
Yeah.
probably would have done it, I guess.
Yep.
Maybe. I don't know. You probably have to enter like a BitLocker, recovery code or something to get in there, but I don't know. There's probably different ways, but that's this is the type of hole I find myself in a lot. I'm fascinated that you did
Mm.
this.
I was too. I was very impressed with myself that this would
Yeah. Yeah.
break Windows in that way. I don't under something was yeah. I don't know. So I'm gonna keep playing with this host file stuff to figure it out because I like the idea of being able. It's a Raspberry Pi hole effectively.
Yeah. But it's a software-based Raspberry Pi
Yeah,
hole.
rather
Here
than
it is.
having the hardware thing. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can see the advantage of this. But and is it all? It's per PC, I guess, right? Like it's
mhm.
just for that one PC.
Yep. In theory, you could set up your own DNS server on a
Yeah.
Windows box, and
Yeah. What could go wrong there? Windows is so
no, it'd be
resilient. I
perfectly
mean,
stable. There
yeah.
was nothing that
Your
would
wife still would
challenge
be
it.
on their iPad and be like, I don't know what's going on. Nothing works. You're like, yep, that's probably me. It's nice to remind them that you're still alive every once in a while,
It is. They
or a
need to know
wrench
they
in the
need
wheel
us.
there. Oh God. What a
Yeah.
career,
I don't know if I die early. The first words my child will say after they get the internet refigured out because they will just unplug everything. It's like, wow, there's ads on the internet.
Yes. Boy. Yep. That's one thing I've been on my phone. I don't do the Raspberry Pi whole thing or whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it, like putting something midstream on the whole network, but I do on my mobile devices do the next DNS thing. And I think it was yesterday, but if not, it was the day before. But I've been using a Samsung phone for over a week, and it is astonishing how many ads there are. I mean, in apps like the New York Times or just like in a Google feed or whatever it is, like it's astonishing how many apps there are, or ads there are rather. But it's a good idea every once in a while just to remind yourself of that, right? Like kind of see it, be like, yep, this is why I do this. Every once in a while, some random thing won't work exactly right. Like the sponsored links that sites always have, like don't ever resolve, and you're like, yeah, I kind of want that actually. So I don't know, but I don't do it on my PCs.
Oh, that looks terrible. You can't see. I had a picture of my grass.
This looks like the back nine of Augusta or something. What
I was trying to do it in paint, and it's working about as well as you would think.
what is like? There's like a little square thing on the
Well,
horizon.
I don't know why.
Oh,
The
that's I'm
colors
sorry.
are all like. Can I put
Gotcha.
this? I don't know. The colors are all messed up. I mean, it's a dark, luscious green, but it's not. I mean, that's.
I just wrote this thing about notifications and how annoying they are, but I think the 21st century annoyance that we're going to have on PCs, especially, but probably on all devices, is like in Paint, for example. Like the computer I usually use is in the dev channel, and the version of Paint that's in there has to load a model, and it actually tells you to go to you click on it, goes to the store, downloads this model, and then you go back to Paint, and it's like, please wait, we're unpacking the thing or whatever the hell it is. And that's what everything is now. It's like Recall does this. There's 4 models now for Recall. Like some of the stuff will come on the computer, but the problem is these things get updated all the time and they're humongous. And it's like you thought installing .NET Framework, whatever version, took a long time because it does, and then you have to reboot actually. But these models, man, there's gonna be so many of these things.
The thing that
You know?
almost made me stroke out was tabs in Notepad,
Yeah.
because I had host file that was bad and I had host file that was good.
Yes. And they have the same
And
file name, and they're
in
in different
Notepad
tabs.
loads, because they put all this junk in there and it's not just Notepad, the first thing that loads was the clean one, and then the second tab pops in like half a second later of the bad one, and I kept thinking, I fixed it, damn it. And then
So this tabs and Notepad thing is a lot like the thing you're doing with, well, the Windows does by default with the tabs as all, Alt tab,
yeah,
whatever. Meaning some people like see this and be like, oh my God, yes, I've been waiting for this for my entire life. And other people like me in both cases are like,
no, the
nope.
tabs in Notepad
And
are,
the first thing I do in Notepad is go in and configure, well, I change the font size, but then I change it so that it doesn't load the last session, right?
yes,
And I turn off open a new tab. I
yep.
want everything in a new window. Like I hate
I eventually
tabs
did that.
in,
I was,
yeah, I hate it.
because Notepad
Which is
is,
why I'm adding it to
yeah.
my app because I hate it so much and I hate myself so much and it's really hard. So it's a perfect storm of stupidity, you know.
Talking about Notepad, not us, right?